everyone. I'm Ken Ogle. We, of course, are on the 26th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing.
And I'm Allie Meyer. Thank you for joining us for this special commemoration ceremony. 26 years ago this day, the federal building was bombed down in downtown Oklahoma City.
That's right.
Almost at this exact time. We're coming up on about 8:45, of course, 9:02.
9:02 is when it happened. You can see the crowd gathering there at the memorial. And the good news, and Allie was talking about it earlier this morning, is that the families are getting together, unlike last year when unfortunately the pandemic kept the ceremony from taking place there at the memorial. They had a very small ceremony. It was followed virtually by most folks, like so many things have been during this pandemic.
Here's what we know about the ceremony today. It's invite only. They used a ticketing process to make sure that all of the survivors and the family members of those who were lost on this day 26 years ago would be able to gather safely together. There they are under the shade of the survivor tree, waiting for the ceremony to get started. But as for the general public, not this year. They are going to have to wait until another year. We're of course hopeful that next year the public will be able to gather to participate in the commemoration ceremony this year. But this year at 7 o'clock this morning, they cleared the grounds of the National Memorial to make way for the families and survivors to come down and experience this morning, this moment together in person.
Traditionally, the ceremony has started, of course, with the bagpipes, the beautiful music being played, and we're expecting that to happen just about any time. And once that does begin, of course, we're just going to watch the ceremony with you. And there you see the bagpipe players preparing to play. Beautiful morning down at the memorial. I'm so glad we've had such inclement weather the last few days on and off that we're finally getting some real nice weather here for the ceremony this morning.
You can see the sunspots on the screen. We've got the bagpipes gathering at the gates of time, and we have had some rainy mornings this past week, and we do know tomorrow we're expecting colder temperatures and potentially even some snow. So really a bright spot and a lucky day, lucky timing for all of the families. It's so important for them. They get together each year, and we know from speaking to so many of them that this day is such a special day for them. It doesn't get any easier necessarily, but it is an important time to bond with the folks in this community that share their pain and their grief and have shared in their suffering in the past 26 years.
Kind of a full circle day for the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, who is in town, as he was one of the very first federal officials on the scene after the bombing, played a heavy role in the prosecution of the defendants, of course, the convicted defendants of the bombing. And now we're hearing the bagpipes. We're going to listen along with you.
Staring at a stop sign, watching people drive by. T-Mac on the radio. Got so much on your mind, nothing's really going right. Looking for a ray of hope. Whatever it is you may be going through, I know it's not gonna let it get the best of you. You're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under, 'cause God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when He reminds you that you're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. Everybody's been down, hit the bottom, hit the ground. Ooh, you're not alone. Just take a breath, don't forget, hold on to His promises. He wants you to know you're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under, 'cause God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when He reminds you that you're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. The same man, the great I am, the one who overcame death. He's living inside of you. So just hold tight, fix your eyes on the one who holds your life. There's nothing He can do. He's telling you. You're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under, 'cause God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless, but you're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. So don't quit, don't give in. You're an overcomer. Don't quit, don't give in. You're an overcomer. Don't quit, don't give in. You're an overcomer. You're an overcomer.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Mandisa, what a powerful tribute. We've all been looking for a ray of hope, and you reminded us that we are all overcomers when faced with adversity. We thank you for sharing your inspiring message and beautiful voice with us. Thank you to the Oklahoma Fire Pipes and Drums for leading today's procession. Joining us today are several special guests. United States Attorney General Merrick Garland, U.S. Representative Frank Lucas, U.S. Representative Stephanie Bice, State Director Bryson Panis from U.S. Senator Jim Inhofe's office, State Director Mona Taylor and Field Representative Estela Hernandez with U.S. Senator James Langford, Governor Kevin Stitt and First Lady Sarah Stitt, Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell, Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter, State Senate Minority Leader Kay Floyd, the Memorial Senator, House Minority Leader Emily Virgin, State Representative Cindy Munson, Major General Michael C. Thompson, Oklahoma National Guard, Mayor David Holt and Rachel Holt, Councilwoman Jo Beth Hammond, Oklahoma City City Manager Craig Freeman, former Governor Frank and First Lady Kathy Keating, John Kennedy, Vice Chair of the Oklahoma City National Memorial Foundation and our Board of Trustees, and most importantly, our family members, survivors, first responders, law enforcement, local federal agency heads, and friends of those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever on April 19th, 1995. After a year of much sacrifice by everyone, it is wonderful to gather in person for this 26th anniversary remembrance ceremony, albeit with a limited in-person audience because of ongoing safety protocols. We are very grateful to our local television stations and the Oklahoman for carrying this program each of the 26 years. We welcome those of you joining us online from across the country. As you walked onto the memorial grounds this morning, it was hard to miss the broken and damaged trees on each side of the street. Then, of course, there's the broken branch from the survivor tree that we lost in the ice storm of 2020. Those are reminders to us that while the trees show us the scars of 2020, they also show us the hope we find in seeing new seeds and new leaves as they begin to bloom. It is the promise of spring, knowing even that the trees are bent and some even broken, they will come back stronger, just like so many of you have done. With each season, these trees, just like you and me, are reshaped and transformed. But we now carry with us a responsibility to share the story of how brokenness bore witness to loss, but also to resilience. And like the trees, we must stand together on this sacred ground to find common ground. A year ago today, the 25th annual pre-recorded program was not what we wanted to do. But in the midst of a global pandemic, the only thing we could do. Turns out it was an incredible history lesson to many and seen by 250,000 viewers statewide. The local and national media provided major coverage of the anniversary and remembrance ceremony, reaching a potential audience of 1.3 billion people. Extraordinary numbers of people joined us as we were looking back and thinking forward to the next 25 years, laser focused on how best to teach and reach the next generation. At the museum, we launched several new initiatives, understanding that the relevance of the memorial and museum is now more important than ever. The signature program, Better Conversations, is a series of Zoom events scheduled every Tuesday, focused on how people converse and communicate in small groups. Critical to the success of the program, we look at the questions we ask one another, listening and honoring each other's perspective. If you've not participated in one of our Better Conversations, I encourage you to visit our website, memorialmuseum.com, to sign up. Bringing people together virtually and asking topical questions has enabled us to facilitate conversations that affect us all. As you walked in today, you received a special edition of Better Conversation cards. We encourage you to take these home and try the cards around the table with family or with friends. You will be surprised what you learn and how we can all have better conversations. Through these Better Conversations, the teaching of our museum, through exhibits, videos, and online educational programs, we continue to come together to teach this critical story to people of all ages and generations. Leading up to this year's ceremony, we've benefited, as always, from the wise guidance of our Conscience Committee. We're enormously grateful to family members, survivors, and first responders, as well as Oklahoma City community leaders and all of our supporters for your patience and understanding as we continue navigating through the effects of this global pandemic. The preamble of the memorial mission statement can be found on the exterior of the Gates of Time. It remains our cornerstone in shaping the important work that continues today. Sharing our mission statement is Oklahoma Secretary of Agriculture Blaine Arthur, Chair of the Memorial Conscience Committee. Blaine's mother, Dr. Peggy Clark, who worked for the Department of Agriculture, was killed here 26 years ago.
We come here to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. May all who leave here know the impact of violence. May this memorial offer comfort, strength, peace, hope, and serenity. Please join me in 168 seconds of silence.
Will you join with me in prayer? God of peace, we come before you on this sacred and solemn day to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. 26 years ago, when those dear souls departed into your presence, you were with them, our city, our state, our nation, and our world. Now, today, we know you are still with us. As we have seen the Oklahoma Standard lived out over the past 26 years, We are reminded from where that standard comes. It comes from your love. As we pause on this day to remember, we are reminded of the message of the resurrection, that the worst day is never the last day, for you are a God of resurrection and life. We invite you to come and give us resurrection and life on this day. In the name of Jesus our Lord we pray. Amen.
Pastor Leslie, thank you for your stewardship of First Church, which has remained a steadfast neighbor and partner. Your church continues to be a beacon in downtown Oklahoma City as a place where all are welcomed. On March 6th of last year, before the shutdown of the pandemic, the Oklahoma City Thunder and Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum joined the New York Knicks and the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in paying tribute to police, fire, and rescue workers from Oklahoma City and New York who responded to the 1995 bombing. The tribute marked the first road game where the Thunder wore the OKC National Memorial City Edition uniform. First responders from Oklahoma City included police, fire, and IMSA. The unified approach in response to the bombing 26 years ago has come to serve as an example to cities like New York and so many others in elevating their own disaster response plans and how to respond to tragic events. We are grateful for the efforts of our first responders, and we are honored they are a part of the ceremony today. Please stand for the raising of colors by the combined honor guard from the Oklahoma City Police and Fire Departments and IMSA, and the singing of our national anthem by Grammy Award-winning artist Mandisa.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. We are grateful for the leadership of our mayor, both in his support of our memorial and museum and on our board of trustees. Representing the city of Oklahoma City, Mayor David Holt.
Good morning. Attorney General Garland, thank you for joining us today. We are honored by your presence and grateful for the relationship you have had with the people of Oklahoma City for 26 years. Governor Stitt and First Lady Stitt, thank you for your continued support of the memorial's mission. Governor, you literally run to remember every year. You haven't seen me on the course, but do know that I run each year as well, just in the children's marathon. It's true, true story. Thank you to Mandisa for sharing your gifts with us this morning. Thank you to Governor and Mrs. Keating, Congressman Lucas, Congresswoman Bice, all our elected and appointed officials who are here for your continued leadership. Thank you to Bob Ross and your Board of Trustees. Thank you to Carrie Watkins and your team. The board and the staff have done an amazing job this past year, adapting to the challenges posed by COVID-19. They spent years planning the 25th anniversary and the 20th marathon, and then had to switch gears and go in a completely different direction. But it was all brilliantly accomplished, as our city has come to expect. This organization is absolutely first class and always makes us proud. On behalf of the people of Oklahoma City, my deepest condolences to those families and survivors here today and watching from afar. As always, on behalf of the people of Oklahoma City, thank you to the first responders, our own members of the Oklahoma City Fire Department and Police Department, and those other agencies who came to our city's rescue in our time of need. And thank you to the many donors and volunteers, many of whom are also family members or first responders, who help maintain this memorial and its mission. We gather here each year at this sacred place for a ceremony that is always a perfect expression of this memorial's mission statement. Through the emotional and heart-wrenching reading of the names, we remember those who were killed. The readers of those names remind us of those who survived. We are all among those who were changed forever. As the years go on, the second part of the memorial's mission statement rises in prominence as we strive to ensure that this ceremony, this place, the memory of the bombing, leaves us resolved to know the impact of violence and to speak up against political violence, against dehumanization, and in favor of love, empathy, truth, and better conversations. I have said something like this before, and will probably say something like this every time I have the honor of speaking at this podium. We here in Oklahoma City have a special understanding of what inevitably ensues when words of division and dehumanization are uttered and when lies are spread. It starts with mere words, but these words behave like a virus, and they are gateways to acts of unthinkable evil. We here in Oklahoma City understand that, and we have a special obligation that was given to us on April 19th, 1995. We here in Oklahoma City must actively love. We must actively empathize. We must actively speak for truth. If you know the story of the bombing, you know there were people who directly planned it, but you also know that there were people who were aware of it, who failed to intervene. You also know there were many more who looked the other way from an ecosystem of hateful rhetoric and lies, an ecosystem where the absurd contemplation of an act of terrorism against innocents and children began to seem reasonable. Such ecosystems of evil have always existed in human civilization. They may always be with us, but how far and how quickly their viruses spread is up to us. Will we passively let others speak dangerous untruths because it is uncomfortable to face them? Or will we look to the scar in our downtown and find the will to actively speak love and truth? Love and truth. When I think of the bombing, I turn to those two words time and time again. There are many perspectives when you think about how to prevent something like this from happening again. We have closed roads, we have created fertilizer registries, we have prosecuted domestic terrorists, and we should do those things. But that is what is necessary when our first line of defense has failed. And that first line of defense is love and truth. Love of your fellow man, your fellow woman reminds you that they are not your enemy. They are your neighbor. And their life is so similar to yours if you would only allow yourself to see. Truth reminds us that the challenges we face are not vast conspiracies involving even the staff at the Social Security office. No, the challenges we face are simply human failures. We are all experiencing them, and we must face them and overcome them together. On this sacred day, on this sacred ground, I urge you to speak love and truth, to answer hate and lies with active love and active truth. Do not be passive. The greatest acts of evil in human history were surrounded by people who knew better, but people who just weren't sure what to do or whether it was their place. If you are from Oklahoma City, it is your place, and it is your obligation to actively love and to actively speak truth. Thank you for these moments to share my heart with you this morning, and allow me to conclude by living my own words. If you are hearing my voice, I want you to know that I love you. Mayors don't usually say that kind of thing, probably, but we should. We all should. I've said it a lot more this past year to a lot more people than I used to. This world needs more love right now. And the more we say that to each other, the fewer times we will have to remember days like April 19th, 1995. Despite the pain we will recall this morning, may the remainder of this day bring you comfort, strength, peace, hope, and serenity. May God bless the families of those who were lost, those who survived, those who came to our rescue, and to those changed forever. May we all bring love and truth into this world every day. Thank you.
We love you too, Mayor, and thank you very much for those words. This past December, Governor Kevin Stitt joined the Oklahoma Office of Management and Enterprise Services, which partnered with the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum Conscience Committee in rededicating the Oklahoma City bombing Memorial Grove at our state capitol campus. The Grove serves as a reminder of the countless friends and neighbors who came to help us in those important early days and years following the bombing. In addition, Governor Stitt embraced our annual Memorial Marathon by helping us create the Beat the Governor Relay Challenge each year since his inauguration. Governor Kevin Stitt.
It is a great honor to be with you here today. Mr. Attorney General, thank you for being with us. You know, you made a promise 26 years ago to find the perpetrators of this horrible act, to bring them to justice, and to honor the Constitution while doing it. On behalf of all 4 million Oklahomans, I thank you for delivering on that promise. Many of us can still remember where we were on April 19th, 1995. I was a college student at Oklahoma State, sitting in a friend's apartment. But as each year passes, there are more people in our community who don't have those same memories. We now have generations of Oklahomans who are college graduates, who are in our workforce, but weren't even born in 1995. Many others were too young to remember or have moved here from other states. No matter how much time passes from that terrible day, it's our duty as Oklahomans to always remember. To remember the 168 lives that were lost, the hundreds who were injured, and the selflessness and the heroism of those who answered the call. But we must also remember the danger of division. In the days following the attack, Reverend Billy Graham issued a challenge to Oklahomans and to the world. He said, "The forces of hate and violence must not be allowed to gain their victory, not just in our society, but in our hearts. Nor must we respond to hate with more hate. Never in our lifetime has it been easier for us to be divided. There are groups that refuse to listen to another point of view. They try to cancel anyone who sees the world differently. It feels like everywhere we turn, someone or something is trying to drive a wedge between us. And like Billy Graham, challenged us 26 years ago, we must guard our hearts from the forces of hate and violence. Oklahoma, we have come too far to give in now. We are coming out of a year where we have never been farther apart. And it's easy to lose sight of the fact that we agree on much more than we disagree. After all, we all want what's best for our kids in education. We all want the best infrastructure and health care and a strong, vibrant economy. We need to remember it's okay to disagree on the details and still be friends. This memorial continues to be a powerful way to honor everyone affected by what happened 26 years ago. But we must also apply the lessons learned on this sacred ground across all corners of our state and everywhere we go. As President Clinton said 26 years ago, let our children know that we will stand against the forces of fear. When there is talk of hatred, let us stand up and talk against it. We can be silent no more. We must stand up to those who refuse to tolerate other worldviews and force their beliefs on others. While we defend our way of life, remember the freedom we hold so dearly also protects those who disagree with us. No matter what challenges come our way, we're all Oklahomans. And we must never forget that Jesus said in Matthew 12:22 that every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. 26 years ago, Oklahomans, we stood together as an example to the world. And now is the time to come together again. May God continue to comfort the families of those we lost, and may God bless the great state of Oklahoma.
Thank you, Governor, for your leadership and support of the Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum. Merrick Garland was the lead member of the Justice Department dispatched to Oklahoma City a day after the bombing. He demonstrated a honed sense for what the investigation required and how to deliver it. Now, after more than 2 decades as one of the country's top appeals court judges, he has returned to lead the Justice Department as the United States Attorney General. The Southern Poverty Law Center said in a report last year that the Oklahoma City bombing and its legacy are critical to understanding the domestic extremist movements of today. The Washington Post reported just last week that domestic terrorism is soaring to new heights in the United States. People who know Merrick Garland from his work in Oklahoma believe that the country could have no better ally in the fight against homegrown extremism. Fast forward to 2021, we are confident he can play a remarkable role in bringing our country back together. Joining us on this sacred ground to work to find common ground is the 86th United States Attorney General, Merrick Garland.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Bob. Every year, on the 19th of April, people gather here at this beautiful memorial to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever. To commemorate the strength of the community that came together in the face of such great loss, and to celebrate the resilience that makes Oklahoma City a model for communities everywhere. And every year, on this day, wherever I am, I reflect on the loss so many of you endured the loss that you continue to endure. In the words of the late Nobel Prize winner Elie Wiesel at the dedication of the United States Holocaust Memorial in Washington, "For the dead and the living, we must bear witness. For not only are we responsible for the memories of the dead, we are also responsible for what we are doing with those memories." We bear witness so that younger generations, those who do not know firsthand about the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building, can understand and learn of the tragedy. We tell and retell the story to instill in them the commitment to prevent tragedies like this from occurring again. I am deeply humbled to bear witness with you today. 26 years ago, I was sitting in my office in the United States Department of Justice in Washington when an urgent report came through from the United States Attorney's Office in Oklahoma City. It was soon followed by a second urgent report, and then a third. There had been an explosion at the Murrah Building. Those were the days when our only source of 24/7 news was CNN. My colleagues and I gathered in front of a TV in my office and caught our first glimpse of the destruction. As information poured in, we gathered again at FBI headquarters to monitor events as a myriad of law enforcement agencies went to work. An axle that landed some 200 yards away from the site provided a VIN number. The VIN number was traced to a truck manufactured by Ford, purchased by Ryder in Florida, and last rented at a shop in Junction City, Kansas. A sketch artist drew a picture of the renter, and the FBI made the rounds in Junction City looking for anyone who had seen him. Leah McGowan, the proprietor of the Dreamland Motel, recognized him, and an all-points bulletin went out for Timothy McVeigh. Meanwhile, 48 hours after the bombing, I was on the FBI plane traveling to Oklahoma. In those days, the plane could not make it to Oklahoma in one jump. We had to refuel in Indiana. When I stepped outside, an agent handed me a cell phone. You would not recognize it today. In those days, a cell phone was the size and the weight of a brick. It was Attorney General Janet Reno calling. McVeigh had been found in the Noble County Jail. Charlie Hanger, then a sharp-eyed Oklahoma State trooper, and until this year, the Noble County Sheriff, had stopped him 90 minutes after the bombing for a missing license plate. Charlie noticed that McVeigh was concealing a gun, arrested him for unlawful possession, and brought him to the jail. He was about to be released when the FBI arrived. When I landed, we drove immediately to Tinker Air Force Base. McVeigh's first presentment to a magistrate was held there because the federal courthouse had been damaged, along with the Murrah Building. I argued that McVeigh should be detained, and the magistrate agreed. We then drove to the bomb site. But first, we had to pass through a ring of Humvees. The National Guard had encircled a radius of more than 16 blocks that had been damaged by the bomb. Shattered glass and crumpled bricks were everywhere. It was night, but you would not have known it. Bright lights lit the site up like it was midday. The front of the Murrah Building was gone. The parking lot across the street still held the cars that had been flattened by the blast. An army of first responders was crawling all over the wreckage. They had rushed to the scene from across Oklahoma and across the country. They included rescue workers, from my own Maryland community who had arrived here by truck before I did. They were sifting through the rubble for survivors and the dead, and everyone was crying. At the time, we did not know how many people had died. But we did know that the Children's Center, which had been at the front of the building, was gone. Then and there, we made a vow. We promised that we would find the perpetrators, that we would bring them to justice, and that we would do so in a way that honored the Constitution. A command post was set up in a Southwestern Bell dispatch building, the windows of which had been blown out by the blast. Oklahoma law enforcement officers and federal agents from across the country worked hand in hand to follow the evidence and put the case together. Then Governor Frank Keating made clear that there would be none of the typical interagency rivalries that weaken investigations. Let's just find the people who did this, he told me. And as we continued that task, we never forgot the victims in whose memories we worked. We met with some of you who are here today, family members and survivors. We went to the memorial service together. I carried the program for that service in my briefcase everywhere I went. Weeks later, we stood with some of you on the rooftop of a nearby building as we watched the remains of the Murrah building being taken down. We tried to treat you as we would have wanted our own families to be treated. And in return, you and all of Oklahoma City treated us like family. You took care of us, the first responders, the investigators, and the prosecutors who had converged on the city from across the country. The Salvation Army kept a food line going to feed us day and night. I don't remember what I ate, but I know I was never hungry. Nearby tables were piled high with donations from everything from toothpaste to deodorant, from sweatshirts to rain jackets. A barber shop relocated to the convention center and offered free haircuts. When I look at photographs from those days, I realize I did not visit the barber often enough. One resident noted our increasingly disheveled look and even set up a laundry service at the command center. I cannot express the depth of my gratitude for your thinking of our comfort in your pain, nor the depth of my admiration for the care that Oklahomans extended to those who were hurting, neighbors and strangers alike. This came, as you know, to be called the Oklahoma Standard, a spirit of community service, generosity, and kindness that we had never seen before. The Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum keeps the Oklahoma Standard going to this day. As Mr. Kennedy noted, once a week the museum hosts better conversations to bring people together from different backgrounds, different politics, and different ideologies to discuss issues about which they disagree. It may not change minds, but it fosters understanding. And understanding is the key to living peacefully, side by side, looking for common ground instead of allowing our differences to polarize us. It is now 26 years since the bombing. And it is as surprising to me as it is to you that I am now the Attorney General of the United States. Although many years have passed, the terror perpetrated by people like Timothy McVeigh is still with us. Just last month, the FBI warned of the ongoing and heightened threat posed by domestic violent extremists. Those of us who were in Oklahoma in April 1995 do not need any warning. The hatred expressed by domestic violent extremists is the opposite of the Oklahoma standard. And this memorial is a monument to a community that will not allow hate and division to win. The Department of Justice is pouring its resources into stopping domestic violent extremists before they can attack, in prosecuting those who do, and battling the spread of the kind of hate that leads to tragedies like the one we mark today. We must all stand together against them for the safety of our communities and for the good of our country. As Kerry Watkins, here you are, the executive director of the Memorial and Museum often says, on this sacred ground, we must work to find common ground. Oklahoma City, you are always in my heart. Thank you.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every life. I worship you. I worship you. Oh, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that you are here, Waymaker. I worship you. I worship you.
We come here to remember those at the Oklahoma Water Resources Board building: Trudy Jean Rigney, Robert N. Chipman. We remember those at the Athenian Building Job Corps: Catherine Elizabeth Ridley, Anita Christine Hightower. We remember rescue worker Rebecca Needham Anderson. We remember those who were killed in the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, U.S. Secret Service, 9th floor: Alan G. Witcher, Kathy Lynn Seidel, Linda G. McKinney, Mickey B. Maroney, Donald Ray Leonard, Cynthia L. Brown. We remember our friends and family with the Drug Enforcement Administration, 9th floor: Kenneth Glenn McCullough, Carrie Ann Lenz, and baby Michael James Lenz III, Rona Lynn Keener Chafee, Carol June Chip Fields, Shelley D. Bland. We remember those who were killed with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 8th floor: my father, Clarence Eugene Wilson Sr., Francis Fran Ann Williams, Michael D. Weaver, David Jack Walker, Jules A. Valdez, Leora Lee Sells, Lanny Lee David Scroggins, Antonio Tony C. Reyes, Dr. George Michael Howard D.V.M., Susan Jane Farrell, Kimberly K. Clark.
We continue to remember those who were killed with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 8th floor: Donald Earl Burns, Sr. David Neil Burkett. Peter R. Avillanosa. Ted L. Allen. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 7th floor. Joe Ann Wittenberg. John Carl Van Ness III. John Thomas Stewart. Terry Smith Rees. Patricia Ann Nix. Betsy J. Beebe McGonnell. James A. McCarthy II. Mary Leisure Renty. Teresa Lee Taylor Lauderdale. Anne Kreinberg. My husband, Thompson Eugene Gene Hodges, Jr. J. Colleen Giles. Linda Louise Florence. Judy J. Fro Fisher. Castine Brooks Hearn Devereaux. Diana Lynn Day. Kim R. Cousins. Andrea Yvette Blanton. Diane E. Hollingsworth Althouse. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 5th floor. Paul Gregory Beatty Brocksterman. We remember our friends of the U.S. Marine Corps recruiting, 6th floor. Captain Randolph A. Guzman, USMC. Sergeant Benjamin Lorenzo Davis, USMC.
We remember those with the U.S. Customs 5th floor. Claude Arthur Medeiros, SSA. Paul D. Ice, Senior Special Agent. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Agriculture, 5th floor. Rita Bender Long. Carol Sue Khalil. Doris Adele Higginbottom. Richard Dick Cummins. Dr. Margaret L. Peggy Clark. James E.
Bowles. Olin Burrow Bloomer. We remember those with the U.S. Army Recruiting Battalion, 4th floor. Wanda Lee Watkins. Kayla Marie Titsworth. Dolores D. Stratton. Victoria Vicky L. Song. John C. Moss III. Peggy Louise Holland. My sister, Karen Gist Carr. Sergeant First Class, Lola Bolden, U.S. Army. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Transportation, Federal Highway, 4th floor. John A. Youngblood. Johnny Wayne Allen. Rick L. Tomlin. Michelle A. Reeder. Jerry Lee Parker. Renata Ann Newberry Woodbridge. James K. Martin. Larry James Jones. Michael Carrillo. Mark Allen Bolte. Lucio Alleman, Jr.
We remember our friends and family with the Federal Employees Credit Union, 3rd floor. Teresa Jo Mathis Wharton. Virginia M. Thompson. Victoria Jeanette Texter. Karen Howell Shepard. Sonia Lynn Sanders. Christy Rosas. Claudine Ritter. Jill Diane Randolph. Frankie Ann Merrill. Claudette Duke Meek. Kathy Cagle Leinen. Valerie Jo Kelch. Alvin J. Justice. Christy Yolanda Jenkins. Robin Ann Huff and baby Amber Denise Huff. Linda Colleen Housley. Sheila R. Geiger, driver, and baby Gregory N. Driver II. Jamie Falkowski, Ginger. Kathy A. Finley. Kimberly Ruth Burgess, Woodrow Clifford Woody Brady. We remember our friends and family with the Defense Security Service, 3rd floor. Robert G. Westbury. Larry L. Turner. Norma Jean Johnson. Peter L. Dumaster. My brother, Harley Richard Cottingham. We remember our visitor on the 3rd floor, Scott D. Williams.
We remember our friends and family from the America's Kids Child Development Center, 2nd floor. Colton Wade Smith. Chase Dalton Smith. Dominique Reve Johnson, London. My brother, Blake Ryan Kennedy. Wanda Lee Howell. Kevin Lee Gottschall II. Tevin DeAndre Garrett. Tyler Santoy Eves. Brenda Faye Daniels. JC Ray Coyne. Elijah S. Coverdale. Aaron M. Coverdale. Antonio and Sarah Cooper, Jr. Anthony Christopher Cooper II. Dana Leanne Cooper. Zachary Taylor Chavez. Nicole Danielle Nicole Bell. Miss Bailey Allman. We remember our friends and family from the General Services Administration, 1st floor. Michael L. Loudenslager. Stephen Douglas Curry. We remember our friends and family from the Social Security Administration, 1st floor. Sharon Louise Wood Chestnut. W. Stephen Williams. Julie Marie Welch. Robert N. Walker, Jr. Luther H. Trainer. LaRue A. Trainer. Michael George Thompson. Charlotte Andrea Lewis Thomas. Emilio Tapia.
we continue to remember our friends and family from the Social Security Administration first floor. Eula Lee Mitchell, Derwin W. Miller, Courtney J. McRaven, Reverend Gilbert X. Martinez, Robert Lee Luster, Jr., Aurelia Donna Luster, Airman First Class Lakeisha Richardson Levy, Raymond Lee Johnson, Jean Nutting Hurlbert, Dr. Charles E. Hurlbert, Thomas Lynn Hawthorne, Sr., my father, Ronald Vernon Harding, Sr., Cheryl E. Hammond, Ethel L. Griffin, Margaret Betterton Goodson, Laura Jane Garrison, Mary Ann Fritzler, Don Fritzler, Ashley Megan Eccles, Catherine Louise Cregan, Gabrion D. L. Bruce, Peachlin Bradley, Carol Louise Bowers, Cassandra K. Booker, Oleta C. Biddy, Paola Battle, Calvin Battle, Sandra G. Sandy Avery, Pamela Cleveland Argo, Richard A. Allen, Teresa Antoinette Alexander.
We are pleased that admission to the museum is free for everyone today as part of Cox Community Day. The museum will be open from 1 o'clock until 8 p.m. tonight, allowing many their first opportunity to see the museum and the memorial at dusk. Social distancing and masks are required. Last night we had a preview of 2 new exhibits inside the museum. We are very excited about the Remembering Through Art, which is a result of a 25th anniversary project. Inspired by Broken Arrow art teacher Jennifer Brown, her students selected one of the 168 people killed, researched the person, and created a piece of art in their honor. The exhibit is a wonderful example of how this generation, not born at the time of the bombing, is learning this story and sharing empathy, compassion, and the uniqueness of your loved ones. Also opening today is a special exhibit highlighting the more than 2 decades of rebuilding together, a human interstory about how this magnificent place was created through a collaborative effort. Saplings of the survivor tree are available following today's ceremony in front of the museum. Due to the continuing pandemic effects and a desire to have an in-person event, the annual April Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon has been rescheduled to the weekend of October 2nd and 3rd of this year. We will be back to our regular marathon schedule in April of 2022. Make plans now to join us for the Memorial Marathon this October. We thank you for joining us for our 26th anniversary ceremony. We're on this sacred ground. We continue to find common ground.
At the Oklahoma City Memorial, as you can see the crowd starting to get up to disperse. Just a great ceremony today. Really emotional speech from the U.S. Attorney General Garland there. He was, I thought Merrick Garland was very sincere in his words.
Merrick Garland was fantastic. You can tell that this community and this event has really touched his life 26 years on, and he still spoke very emotionally about the prosecution of Timothy McVeigh. We also heard from Governor Kevin Stitt and also Mayor David Holt.
They did mention that the memorial will be open today and the museum open today from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m. this evening. And again, the admission is covered by Cox Communications.
Good corporate citizenship there. And you can see the leaders in our community filing through the gates of time there, escorted by the bagpipes. Just really another poignant ceremony, a beautiful day. The sun came out and the temperatures warmed up just enough. And a reminder, this portion of the ceremony was for family and survivors only, but the grounds will be open to the public later today.
We'll have complete coverage coming up today at noon for you, of course. For right now, we'll take it back to regular programming.